Man, let me tell you, what went down on Sportcenter today felt like an absolute heist for the New York Knicks. That was the word being thrown around, and honestly, it's hard to disagree. The whole conversation was about what the Knicks' next move could be, because this front office clearly isn't finished making plays. And now the discussion has taken on a whole new energy, with fans practically salivating over the possibility of what might come next. What stood out most to me was how much this reflects Leon Rose's consistent approach. The man has a type. He targets players he believes in, his guys, and more often than not, he finds a way to land them. We've seen it with Mikal Bridges, with Karl Anthony Towns, and most recently with Jordan Clarkson. Even Gershon Yabusele fits that pattern. The Knicks had been interested in him back when he was still overseas in France, but the timing wasn't right, and Philadelphia scooped him up for a year. Yet somehow, in the end, Yabusele still wound up in New York. That's classic Leon Rose. Patient, calculated, and relentless when it comes to securing players he's been tracking for years. Now, here's where things get spicy. Another one of those names the Knicks have had their eyes on for a long time is back in the conversation. Walker Kessler. This isn't some random rumor out of nowhere. People have known for a while that New York has admired Kessler's game and viewed him as the kind of young big who could fit their long-term plan. And with him entering a contract year, the questions surrounding his future in Utah have become impossible to ignore. The Jazz, to be honest, are in a strange spot. Yes, they've talked about wanting to win, but their roster just doesn't reflect a team built for immediate success. Lauri Markkanen is still there and remains a solid piece, but beyond that, it feels like they're treading water. And Utah has this reputation for holding on to players a little too long before making decisions. So, the talk around Kessler possibly being on the move has only gotten louder. For the Knicks, this could line up perfectly. But before the conversation went full throttle on Kessler, Sportcenter also highlighted the situation with New York's current roster construction. Malcolm Brogdon's deal with the Knicks isn't fully guaranteed yet, but he's being seriously considered for the final roster spot. Same goes for Landry Shamet, who's right in the mix as well. If New York doesn't swing a trade, they'll eventually have to make a tough choice between the two. And let's be real, the Knicks have been searching for that steady veteran presence at the point guard spot for a while, and Brogdon absolutely fills that gap. Then came the twist that really grabbed my attention. Begley mentioned that if the Knicks were willing to move Miles McBride, that alone could create the cap space to bring in Walker Kessler without losing flexibility elsewhere. And just like that, the chatter exploded. Sportcenter painted a scenario where trading McBride opens the door to Kessler, a young, elite rim protector who could immediately impact the Knicks' front court, while still giving them a long-term building block. Right then, the conversation shifted to the mechanics of a potential trade. Knicks' insider feed went on social media and flat out said that New York is looking at a deal for Walker Kessler that could involve sending Mitchell Robinson and McBride to Utah. Obviously, NBA trades aren't that simple in practice, but the framework makes sense. Utah would get a rim-protecting center in Robinson and a versatile young guard in McBride, while the Knicks land a developing big in Kessler, who fits their future plans and can help them win right now. That was where Sportcenter left it, painting a picture of a Knicks front office that could be on the verge of another calculated strike. And honestly, hearing it all laid out like that, it felt like watching a chess master make the next move, right in front of our eyes. Man, how Sportcenter pushed this whole discussion forward was wild, because things really got interesting once they started breaking down what a potential Knicks trade package could actually look like on paper. And honestly, what they laid out makes a lot of sense, even if it would sting for some Knicks fans. Here's how they framed it. Imagine a deal where the Knicks send out Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson, and in return, they get Walker Kessler and Kevin Love. Now, at first glance, you hear Kevin Love's name and might think, wait, why Love? Well, simply put, it's a salary piece that has to be included for the trade to balance. But the heart of this move is clearly Walker Kessler, a young big man who checks every box for New York. The Sportcenter crew broke down Kessler's numbers from last season and it's easy to see why the Knicks would be so high on him. Playing just about 30 minutes per game, the guy averaged 11 points and 12 rebounds. And he wasn't just rebounding, he swatted away 2.5 shots per game, while also adding over a steal per game and finishing at 66% from the field. That's elite efficiency, elite rim protection, and a level of consistency that, if you put him in Tom Thibodeau's old system or Mike Brown's current system, fits like a glove. The Knicks wouldn't have to worry as much about Mitchell Robinson's frequent injuries because Kessler would give them a durable, reliable presence in the middle. Of course, this kind of deal isn't without sacrifices. In this scenario, New York would be parting ways with Deuce McBride, who just turned 25 and has shown flashes of real production when given a bigger role. He put up nearly 10 points per game, chipped in assists and rebounds, and most importantly, knocked down 37% of his threes, including almost 40% from the corners. On a Jazz team looking for backcourt depth after losing Colin Stone, McBride could thrive. And from his perspective, he might welcome a change if it means more consistent playing time. Then there's the Kevin Love piece. Sportcenter reminded viewers that Love spends a lot of his offseason in New York working out with Chris Brickley, so the city is already familiar territory for him. At this point in his career, he's more of a locker room presence and veteran voice than a nightly impact player. Last season, he averaged about 11 minutes, 5 points, and 4 rebounds per game. He still spaces the floor, still brings that championship pedigree, and he's one of the most respected veterans in the league. But the real question is whether the Knicks would keep him or buy him out. If they bought him out, the theory goes, Love could head to Los Angeles for a reunion with LeBron James, finishing his career with the Lakers, while New York frees up financial flexibility to bring in both Malcolm Brogdon and Landry Shamet. Suddenly, roster balance issues start to sort themselves out in a way that makes a lot of sense from a strategic standpoint. You address your front court with Kessler, giving the Knicks a young, athletic, rim-protecting center who can anchor the paint night in and night out. At the same time, you shore up your guard rotation with Brogdon and Shamet, adding both stability and experience to the backcourt while maintaining the scoring punch you need to compete in the Eastern Conference. It's the kind of move that gives you short-term firepower to contend now, but also long-term flexibility to build around a core that could be the backbone of the team for years. Now, let's not gloss over the emotional side of this at all, because it's huge. Mitchell Robinson has been more than just a player for the Knicks. He's been a symbol of their defensive identity, a cornerstone of the locker room, and an instrumental figure during those playoff runs against Boston and Detroit. His shot blocking, rim protection, and sheer presence altered games in ways that don't always show up on the stat sheet. Sportcenter didn't sugarcoat it. The Knicks literally don't get through those series without Mitch making those big plays. Fans love him, teammates respect him, and his departure would leave an undeniable void, both on and off the court. But here's the cold reality, and Sportcenter made sure to hit this hard. Injuries have piled up, availability has been inconsistent, and in a league where every playoff opportunity is precious, you can't afford to base your championship hopes on uncertain health. Sometimes, even the most beloved players have to be moved if it serves the greater goal of building a contender. It's the harsh truth of the NBA, the part that separates emotional attachment from smart roster management. And in this case, the Knicks front office has to weigh loyalty against logic, sentiment against strategy, and nostalgia against the potential of a young, ascending big like Kessler, who could become a central piece of their future. Leon Rose has shown before that he's willing to be ruthless when it comes to getting his guys. And if Walker Kessler is one of them, the consensus was clear. Rose wouldn't hesitate. That's the beauty and the cruelty of this business. On one hand, you lose a homegrown piece and locker room staple, but on the other, you add a young big who could be part of your future core for years. And if Love does head to the Lakers, New York would still benefit by keeping both veteran guards they're eyeing. So, as Sportcenter put it, the Knicks find themselves at a fascinating crossroad. Do you roll with what you've got and hope Robinson's health holds up? Or do you cash in now, secure Kessler, and reshape the roster around a younger, healthier anchor in the paint.